Hi, girls and boys. Here's another S3 Human Sciences class. I'm using this PDF. You should have access to this PDF. It's attached to a separate assignment. We're still talking about geography and climate, okay? Specifically, climate in the Mediterranean region. You've already learned about the difference between climate and weather. So, climate is you can say it's the average weather in a particular place over a certain period of time. Usually, it's a longer period of time. We're not only talking about days or weeks, but years. Okay, so it's more of a general description of how things are in a particular place. Okay, weather, on the other hand, when you talk about weather, you're talking about the conditions from day to day. Okay, in a particular place. So is it going to be sunny? Is it going to be cloudy today? Is it going to rain? Is it going to snow, etc.? Okay, weather changes can change from day to day. Okay, of course, weather, as you've already seen, weather that includes temperature, so how hot or cold, precipitation, whether there's rain, there's snow, there's hail, there's sleet, and wind. Okay, so whether it's windy, how fast the wind is, or maybe there's less wind. Okay, so you don't have, for instance, if you're talking about the coming of a particular storm, weather people, they talk about how fast it's going, how strong the winds are, because, these things, the power of the wind can affect people, can knock down trees, for instance, it can cause damage, etc. Now, you've also already learned about Mediterranean climate. What can we say about that? So we know that, for instance, summers in the Mediterranean are hot and dry usually, and then winters are cold but not too cold, not overly cold. So we have mild winters in the Mediterranean, okay, with some rainfall. Now, today we're going to talk about a few other terms, but first we need to be able to understand this graph, okay? So we are referring to the Mediterranean region, so this graph refers to a place in the Mediterranean that you know, would typically have temperatures and rainfall like this. As you can see here, this map that shows you the Mediterranean region and other places in the world that has Mediterranean climate. Now this graph represents temperature here, the red line, and rainfall, the blue bars. Okay, so as you can see here, this means these numbers from 0 to 30, so those are degrees Celsius. Okay, those numbers refer to temperature, and as you can see here, the blue bars refer to the amount of rainfall per month: January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, until December, so 12 months. Okay, now if you look at this table here, it's almost the same thing, but of course the representation is slightly different. So at the top you have the months: January, February, March, April, May, etc. And then on this side you have temperature. So the numbers here refer to the average temperature each month. And then you would also have the average rainfall in millimeters each month. As you can see, in certain months, for instance, December, you have more rain, or the most rain, compared to, for instance, to um, June, and especially July, which had which has zero rain. Okay, so this is the kind of weather, weather conditions, because we're talking about temperature and rainfall, that you would find somewhere in the Mediterranean. Now, it's important to understand how to read this graph, okay? Now, some terms. So, annual temperature range, what is that? The annual temperature range of a particular place, you get that by subtracting the temperature of the coolest month from the temperature of the hottest month. So this means that, for instance, the hottest month is this. So 28.3 minus the lowest temperature. So which one is that? 9.1. So if you subtract 9.1 from 28.3, you have the annual temperature range. Now, the mean annual temperature, you get this by adding together all the temperatures, okay, for each month. So you add them all up and then you divide the result by 12 because you have 12 months in a year. So that's the mean or the average annual temperature of a particular place. Again, you add up all the temperatures for each month, you get a particular result. That outcome you divided by 12. Once you do that, you would get the mean annual temperature. Now, how about the total annual rainfall? As you can see, annual means yearly. Okay, that's simple. You calculate that by adding together all the figures here. As you can see, add them all up, and then you have the total yearly rainfall. Drought. This is important. It's an important topic when we're talking about the Mediterranean because there are months when you don't get any rainfall at all. So you can have this in places like Greece and Italy. So barely any rain. So that means that you would have drought. Okay. When you have a month that sees less than 5 millimeters of rain, then that could be considered to be a month of drought. Okay, as you can see here, drought means a period of little or no rainfall, which is bad for farmers. Okay, so I hope that is clear. Now, just to be perfectly perfectly clear, for our purposes, you can ignore questions 1, 2, and 3. The only thing that you need to pay attention to is item number 4 and all the questions here. There's going to be a separate quiz, a quiz that's linked to this, okay? And you'll have to deal with these questions using these figures, these numbers, and this graph, okay? That's what you need to do. All right. So I'll see you in the next class.